Me again, Year 1. Here we go with your maths lesson, week 5, lesson 4. Let's go to that Top Marks website again for our warm-up. Going to be a bit more challenging today. If you find it a little too tricky, you can always go back to one of the other games we've played on a previous day. So level 1, subtraction, and you're going to try this. Up to 20, format A. You can see it says 7 equals what? Take away 9. Now remember, with a take away sum, this has to be the biggest number. So what would you do with these two small numbers to give you the big number? That's right, you need to add them together, because remember, subtraction and addition are the inverse of each other. Now it is tricky, so you might be better starting off with 20 seconds. You can use a number line or a 100 square to help you work out the answers, or use your fingers. Maybe you just know the answers in your head. If you do really well, lower the time it takes for you to answer the questions and play again. You could always change it to manual, which means that you've got as much time as you want to answer the questions. So what take away 18 would give you 1? Add these two numbers together. And then when you're ready and you've written down your answer, click on next. And again, you've got as long as you want to work out the answer. Next, a little starter for you, a little bit of revision on shape and fractions. Can you tell me what shape this is? And this one, and this one. Now if I asked you to come out and cut the shapes in half, I wonder how you'd do that. Now remember, we don't often write the word half, we tend to represent it like this, as a fraction. Would you have drawn the shapes like this? Remember, when you're cutting something in half, you need 2 pieces. That's why you have a 2 at the bottom of the fraction. But the 2 pieces need to be exactly the same. How about this question? How many halves make a whole one? You've got 1 half here and 1 half there to make the whole square. So you had half, 1 half, plus 1 half is 2 halves. And because your top number is the same as your bottom number in your fraction, it gave you the whole square. That's just a bit of revision for you. Now you're going to need 10 cubes for this activity because we're going to be halving numbers. We're going to find out which numbers are easy to halve and which numbers are a bit trickier. On your squared paper, write half at the top and then number from 1 down to 10. Now, I can't really split that in half. That's a tricky one. So I'm just going to put a dash next to that, but now I need 2 cubes, a tower of 2 cubes. Remember, like with the shapes, when you cut numbers in half or towers of cubes, you cut them into 2 groups and they have to be exactly the same. So 1 half of 2 is 1. And I've recorded it like that, look, with a little arrow and the answer 1. Now I need a tower of 3. Here we are, and I need to try to split it into 2 halves. So, is that fair? 2 here, 1 there? What about this? I've got 2 groups, but look, there's only 1 here, and there's 2 there. Not fair. That's not a half. Now they're all the same. There's 1 in each group. But is that half? No. Remember, you need 2 halves. So that's a tricky one to do. Let's just put a dash next to it again. And let's try the 4. Here's my 4 cubes. Let's cut it into 2 groups and they have to be the same height. Exactly the same. So 1 half of 4 is 2. That was an easy one. So I can do my arrow and record it. Keep going. What about 5? Would that be an easy one or a hard one to do? What about 6? Go all the way up to 10 for me on your square paper. Now take a look at your results. Is there anything special about the numbers that you could halve? How are the ones that were tricky the same? Look, all the ones that you can halve are the even numbers, aren't they? They're what we say when we count in twos, 2, 4, 6. But the ones that we found really tricky, what do we call those ones? What sort of special numbers are those? Those are the odd ones, aren't they? Do you remember how we used to count? We used to whisper the odd numbers and say the even numbers normally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the pattern goes odd, even, odd, even, odd, even. Go into your packs now, find page 22 and have a little go at that. Don't forget the think questions and your self-assessing. I'd like you all to have a go at Mastery Checkpoint 24 now. It's in your pack and you can also find it in the Google Emergency folder. Write your answers on some squared paper. Have a go at a little extension on the Enrich website. The link's in the folder for you. Fair feast this time. Now for some problem solving. In the school emergency Google folder, you'll find a PowerPoint in the week 5 folder. Find half. And up should pop lots of problems about finding half with some of you in it. Here's the first one about Theo. Work your way through. You can show me some working out if you like. And don't forget to record everything on this sheet. It's in your pack and in the emergency Google folder. If you fancy a little bit more extension and find half of those odd numbers, you need something like this on your square paper. Now I'm going to use cheese to help me. Have a look. There's one block of cheese. Now I can halve this because I can cut it. I couldn't cut the cube, but I can cut this. I'm trying to cut it equally into 2 parts. It's a bit tricky because I'm holding the camera as well. So half of one gives you half a block of cheese. So I can record it like that. The next odd number is 3. This is a very good excuse to eat chocolate or cheese, whatever you want to use. So now I've got 3 cubes of cheese. Got that. But I need to cut one in half, don't I? I started with 3, and if I cut them into 2 groups, I've got 1 and a half here, 1 and a half here. So half of 3 is 1 and a half. And I can record it like that. Now look at the pattern. What do you think half of 5 would be? Try it with some cheese or chocolate. Have a treat. Half of 7, half of 9. I'll leave you to do that while I go off and eat some cheese. That was good. How did you get on? Okay boys, that's it for today. See you tomorrow. Bye.